other stories of people traveling the roads to riches and freedoms came with a high price. Lil Slim was part of the first wave of Cash Money artists. From 1993 to 95, he released 3 albums for the label. He was the first artist to leave for contractual dispute reasons, but he wouldn't be the last. Another of Cash Money's early big artists was Pimp Daddy, real name Edgar Givens. He was a pioneer to the New Orleans bounce sound. In 94, Pimp Daddy was shot in the face by his girlfriend's brother shortly after the release of his debut album, Still Pimpin', he died. Givens was only 18 at the time of his death, but because of his influence, Lil Wayne actually went by Shrimp Daddy in his early career, and even had a style similar to Pimp before deciding on Lil Wayne developing his own flavor. 96 and 97 was a dark period for early Cash Money.
Yeah, to put him
Lil
on
Wayne, who was
second.
a child star in the nation at the time, shot himself in the chest.
This one don't hurt this.
Supposedly it was an accident, but as the years have passed, many people have come out and said it was a suicide
See
attempt.
they in my ears.
On 1999 MTV.
Now where's the split screen at? Once you like got going live on the thing, how did you put the other screen?
I ain't know it had been cocked.
Just like, why did it go low? Hold on. Oh, you on? What are you?
Yeah, that was
I'm
crazy.
just on YouTube
Where's
live.
Okay.
Came out through the back.
I would have thought of
it.
In 1996, Birdman had a feud with one of the label's artists, Yellow Boy of UNLV.
Okay.
Now, Yellow Boy allegedly pistol whipped Birdman, and then Yellow Boy was found dead. Now,
Now
Birdman,
you open up the next thing.
rumors flew that he was involved in killing Yellow Boy, but there's no hard facts to back up those accusations outside of a few subliminal rap lines from various artists connected to Cash Money Records. And officially, most newspaper articles claim that Yellow Boy died from a drug deal gone wrong, though Terrence Gangster Williams, Birdman's brother, who's in prison for a whole bunch of murders, was still free at that time. So, who could say? When America as a whole got wind of Cash Money, they were almost already 10 years in. Rumors flew that Wayne said it was an accident.
If you cocked it, someone's already in the chamber. I ain't know it had been cocked. I'm just like playing, like some, I ain't know. Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah. Where'd you hit yourself? Chest. What's it there? Came out through the back. I'm so.
In 1996, Birdman had a feud with one of the label's artists, Yellow Boy of UNLV. Now, Yellow Boy allegedly pistol whipped Birdman, and then Yellow Boy was found dead. Now, Birdman, rumors flew that he was involved in killing Yellow Boy, but there's no hard facts to back up those accusations outside of a few subliminal rap lines from various artists connected to Cash Money Records. And officially, most newspaper articles claim that Yellow Boy died from a drug deal gone wrong, though Terrence Gangster Williams, Birdman's brother, who's in prison for a whole bunch of murders, was still free at that time. So, when America as a whole got wind of Cash Money, they were almost already 10 years in the game.
Over there, but I can hear.
Locally, they'd accumulated some regional success around Louisiana, selling tapes from the trunk of their very own cars. In the early 90s, they'd acquired BG and Lil Wayne to their roster as Baby Gangsters. That was the group they were called. And a few years later, when Birdman signed Juvenile, who was already kind of popping, and Turk, we connected them with the Baby Gangsters and created the Hot Boys. And that's when they began to reach commercial success. In 1998, Cash Money, with the help of various people, signed a $30 million deal with Universal Records.
So
The deal was especially smooth. Unlike many other artists, Cash Money was able to acquire 85% of the royalties, half of the publishing rights, and they're able to keep ownership of their own masters. Juvenile's hit single "Pop" is what really brought Cash Money to the attention of rap fans all across America, His
Figured
debut
that
album,
part
400
out.
Degrees,
But you're right,
went many
baby.
times
That might
platinum
be
and
looking.
solidified Cash Money's
That's 'cause
name
I'm on my
as a
phone.
hip-hop powerhouse. During this time, with early success, Cash Money songs were almost solely produced by Manny Fresh, who ended up leaving because he felt he didn't get paid. More on that in part 5. At the end of 1999, Birdman's brother Terrence, who I mentioned earlier, Gangsta, was sentenced to 250 years, connected to criminal enterprise and conspiracy to solicit murder. He was also suspected of committing many murders himself. Terrence was a member of the notorious New Orleans crew, the Hot Boys, which is actually where the rap group got their name from. He was considered by some to be the muscle of the record label. He was also a big reason they were able to get off the ground financially, some say. Hot Boys was formed from Gangsta Williams, Dewey Sterling, and Mosquito. All of them are dead except for Gangsta, and he's serving the 250-year sentence. 2 years after Juvenile's big debut on Cash Money, he left and formed his own label. The issue he stated was the same reason most Cash Money artists have left, was that he wasn't getting paid what he was supposed to be. Juvenile claimed that Baby and Slim took most of the earnings and left the artist with scraps. During this time, BG, Baby Gangsta, was battling a heroin addiction that he had from his early teenage years. He also began to distance himself from Cash Money.
Christopher Dorsey, better known as local rapper BG, pled guilty today to gun charges. Dorsey admitted that on 2 occasions, including on this YouTube video, he possessed guns, despite being a 3-time convicted felon. He also pled guilty to obstruction of justice for trying to get an associate to claim ownership of the guns. Dorsey will remain behind bars until his sentencing in March.
Like many other artists of Cash Money Records, BG claimed that after 2 certified platinum and gold albums, Williams Brothers refused to pay what he had coming. That same year, Turk, the last of the Hot Boys other than Lil Wayne, he split from the label. He went after Cash Money with a $1.3 million lawsuit for unpaid royalties. Turk ended up shooting a cop by accident when he was in a Memphis dope house and he got raided. So Lil Wayne was the last man standing on Cash Money. Juvenile eventually settled out of court with Cash Money and then surprisingly put out another album with them, and he got half of the record sales as part of the settlement. And since 2014, Juvenile and the label have seemed to be on good terms. So I guess Baby goes by the old saying in business, it's cheaper to pay a lawyer than to pay you. But if you fight him in court and get your money, I guess they come to terms. Meeting Wayne at age 8, Birdman became somewhat of a surrogate father to Lil Wayne when his stepfather was killed. He signed to Cash Money as a preteen and they developed it, sort of like Motown. Following the murder of his stepfather, Birdman took on even more of a father figure role and they began kissing each other on the mouth. Birdman also, in an interview, said he had a groupie perform oral sex on Lil Wayne when he was 11, which is obviously child molestation. After years and years of Cash Money Records, Lil Wayne eventually started to want to jump ship. And he got into a dispute where he sued the label for $51 million and refused to put out his final album, The Carter 5. And then, of course, Drake and Nicki Minaj and others were signed to Wayne's sub-label, Young Money, and the whole drama involving Young Thug and etc., which I talk about in part 1 of Surviving Cash Money, played out. Recently, Lil Wayne and Cash Money apparently came to some sort of settlement, though in the meantime, Wayne's tour bus was shot at. A guy named Pee Wee Roscoe, Young Thug's tour manager, was convicted and unconvicted. I talk about that in part 1 of Surviving Cash Money. In 2018, Lil Wayne finally released The Carter 5, which went on to have great commercial success. Here's a list of murders of Cash Money artists over the years, a partial list. 1996, Pimp Daddy. 1997, Kilo G, dead at the age of 20, murdered. 1997, Yellow Boy, gunned down. 2010, Magnolia Shorty, killed in New Orleans. 2017, very recently, BTY Youngin, who was a new signee, gunned down. 2018, Young Greatness, Cash Money artist, gunned down. Now,
I never
New Orleans is a
heard
very violent place. Unfortunately,
That
United
girl was
States is
pretty
a very
too,
violent place
gunned
for young
down.
black males in general. Certainly, the deaths of all these young men who were signed to Cash Money Records does not mean or imply that Cash Money Records had anything to do with it. Subscribe, get ready for part 5, Cash Money Records, and our future music series, America Dope. Not long after the April incident with the tour bus, there was an arrest made for the shooting. Alleged trigger man was a guy named Pee Wee Roscoe. Now, who was Pee Wee Roscoe? He was Young Thug's tour manager.
It's off. Where the rest of it? So where was the name of it? Monster. I mean, Cash Money was. Cause you type it in.
Cash Money.
It ain't no Surviving Cash Money Part 2.
Nah, all that shit was together. Somebody took his video and did that.
Finding ways to turn 1 to 10, 10 to 100.
Yo, Auntie's really sleeping around with her sister husband. Are you in my conversation?